IELTS Speaking Questions 2024 January. In this video, I'm going to go through some of the new topics that are in the test and also some of the questions under these topics. I'm going to be just ranting and raving and giving you a whole lot of suggestions about vocabulary that you can use and ideas, and I'll also give you some examples of how you can answer some of these questions. It's going to be fairly unstructured. Let's start with the first topic, advertisements, or in British English, advertisements. We've got a few useful paraphrases for this topic. Ads and adverts, good solid words that you can use in your speaking test. They're a bit informal, so don't use them in the writing test. And then commercials, especially television commercials. This is a really nice collocation. Some idiomatic expressions to catch someone's eye. If an advertisement catches your eye, that means it gets your attention. Word of mouth. This is an extremely effective form of advertising. Word of mouth advertising is when you hear about a product or service from other people. For instance, you might hear your friends talking about an amazing new burger restaurant, and that might push you to go and try the burger, whereas if you just saw it advertised on TV, television commercial, you might not bother. And then some high-level vocabulary, persuasive, advertising that's persuasive, persuades you to buy. Ubiquitous means you can see something everywhere. Sometimes we might feel when we're online, advertising is ubiquitous. It just pops up everywhere. Targeted marketing is when advertisers go for a particular age group or gender, some kind of demographic. And then consumer psychology. This is what advertisers use, right? They try and identify emotional desires of people. For instance, the desire to be included. So they might show a product like a new iPhone, and all you need to do is buy this new iPhone and you'll have an amazing social life. Everybody will want to be your friend. All you have to do is buy a new iPhone. And then on to our questions. How often do you see advertisements? It could be once in a blue moon, not often, or maybe you feel they're ubiquitous and you see them every time you turn on one of your gadgets. What types of advertisements attract your attention the most? What do you find most eye-catching? Is it videos? Is it having celebrities? Have you ever bought something because of an advertisement? Maybe you only do it once in a blue moon, or maybe you've never done it, or maybe you do it all the time. Do you like the advertisements that you can see on the street? Sounds a bit odd, this question, right? But it just means things like maybe billboard advertising. Maybe when you walk out on the street, billboard advertising is ubiquitous. You can see it everywhere. That last one is a question that sometimes sort of catches people by surprise. These are new questions, but I've seen them before. Most of the questions that have just been released for this year have been in the test before, and I've given them to candidates. As an examiner, I already have some sort of idea about which ones are easy, which ones are difficult. That last one sometimes catches people. Bored. We've got some paraphrases for when you feel bored. You might feel something as tedious or monotonous. Monotonous is especially like you're just doing the same thing over and over again. It's got mono in it, and mono means one. We can see mono in some other words like monopoly. It's a game, but also it has a meaning in business. a company has a monopoly when they're the only major company in that field. A bit like Microsoft. They're a monopoly for certain products. Doesn't mean they're their only one, but they're by far the biggest player. Uninterested. I put that one in there. If you feel bored, you feel uninterested. And then the thing that makes you feel bored is uninteresting. I put that in there because a lot of the time I have students and they say, I'm boring. But no, well, I mean, you might be boring, but if you're describing your feeling, you want to say, I feel bored. I find this video uninteresting. I'm uninterested in it. So be careful, because we have these adjectives that can be ed or ing. And just remember, ed's for you and you're feeling bored, and ing for the thing that gives you that feeling the video is boring. Idiomatic expressions, stir crazy. This is a kind of a feeling when you feel extremely restless. Maybe you're so bored, you're feeling stir crazy. You really want to just get out and do something, but maybe you can't because you've got to study, even though it's boring and making you feel bored. To twiddle one's thumbs just means you've got nothing to do. Be like, oh, this weekend I'd passed all my tests and I couldn't think of anything to do. I just sat at home and twiddled my thumbs all weekend. So it just means like do nothing in particular. It might be, you might be surfing on your smartphone or something like that, but you're not doing anything meaningful. Then you're twiddling your thumbs. Teachers or bosses might say, stop twiddling your thumbs and get to work. Stop doing nothing and get to work. High-level vocabulary, unstimulating, so it doesn't make you feel stimulated. Apathetic. Apathetic's a kind of a feeling where you sort of, well, you don't have any feeling towards something. Like if you feel apathetic to going out and meeting your friends, means you could or you couldn't. It's all about the same. You just have no feeling either way. You're apathetic. And listlessness is a kind of feeling of not having any energy, not having any get up and go. And sometimes when we're bored, we just feel kind of listlessness. We just can't feel interested in doing anything. And then on to our questions. How often do you feel bored? So this is a kind of time question. And again, it could be like once in a blue moon, or what's high-level language for when you do something often? Let's ask a question. Okay, so I got out of ChatGPT frequently. It's not particularly high-level language, but there was another suggestion, habitually. Habitually sounds a bit better, right? And that means you just sort of do it so often, it's a habit. I habitually brush my teeth after I eat dinner. It's just you do something automatically without thinking. What do you usually do when you feel bored? You could say anything for this. You could have something pre-prepared, things that you do, surf the internet, or something like that. Something with an idiomatic expression might be useful. Are there any particular types of activities you find boring? I don't have anything particular to say here, but it does say type of activity, so this would be a good question to start with something quite general and then maybe get specific with it. So something like, I don't know, for me, shopping. I find shopping really boring, especially clothes shopping. For instance, last week I needed to buy a red shirt and it took me a long time to find it, and I just really found it a totally unstimulating activity. And then the last one, how do you think technology has made your life less boring? You could probably talk about your smartphone and In the past, if you had to wait in a queue, it would be so boring, but now you can just pull out your smartphone and start reading the news or something like that. Cakes. I didn't really remember this topic before. There's been desserts, and cake is a type of dessert. Paraphrasing cakes is kind of a bit tricky. I've got dessert, and a cake is a type of dessert. So you can think dessert's a big group, and one of the types of desserts is a cake. So it's not an exact paraphrase. Baked sweets. I got this from ChatGPT. I've never described something as baked sweets. Maybe it's an American thing or something. I don't know. I think that's a bit weird. I probably wouldn't say it. And then idiomatic expressions. So what ChatGPT has done here is it hasn't really given idiomatic expressions to talk about cakes. It's given idiomatic expressions that involve cakes, like piece of cake, easy to do, icing on the cake, kind of, if something's the icing on the cake, it makes it even better, right? So maybe you buy a new smartphone and the camera is really cool and you mostly bought it for the camera, but it's also got a really amazing display, the beautiful images or videos when you watch movies on your phone, and then so maybe the display is the icing on the cake. I wouldn't use these to describe cake, by the way. I don't think it's a good idea. Like if you say it's a piece of cake to make a cake, it sounds a bit funny, and that's partly why I've left these in here. I want you to understand when you could use idiomatic expressions and when not. So I wouldn't be using these to describe cakes. High-level vocabulary, delectable means like delicious, gourmet, high-level cooking stuff, culinary artistry, that's when the chef makes everything look amazing, like visually appealing, not just the taste of the food, but the appearance of the food. That's culinary artistry. For me, I'm not a big fan of it. I just want food that tastes good. I don't really care how it looks. I don't want it to look awful, but it doesn't have to look too amazing for me, like the picture you can see on your screen with all the icing. Yeah, well, makes it look nice, but for me, the key thing is the taste. In preparing for this topic, you might also think about what sort of cakes you like. Like I'm a big fan of banana cake, especially. I like to get banana cake and heat it up and sprinkle a little cinnamon on top. A great nighttime snack, and cinnamon is helpful for getting to sleep, and a few carbs are useful. Carbohydrates are also useful for getting to sleep. And then our questions: how often do you eat cake? Note how we get these how often questions a lot. Now, one of the ways to be preparing for your test is not only these topics, but also to be looking at some of the common question words that come up and ways to respond to them. I'll put a link to a video I've got on that topic below in the description. You might like to watch that. It's a great way to prepare, right? If you're prepared for some of the common question types that come up, then it doesn't really matter the topic. You can bring out words like once in a blue moon, or bakeries are ubiquitous in my city, so I'm always grabbing a cake when I'm hungry and on the run. So those sort of things, right? What is your favorite type? So this comes up a lot, and this is where I said it would be useful to think what kind of cakes you like. And if you don't know, just say banana cake. It doesn't matter if that's your real favorite or not. Maybe it's Christmas cake. Maybe your country has a special kind of cake, and you could talk about that to the examiner. Have you ever made a cake? I don't know if I have personally. I'd have to say no to that question. And you're allowed to say no. And even the way I prefaced it's not bad, right? I would have to say no rather than just no. That's better. And if you wanted, you could add something on, like I'd have to say no, but you know what? I'm a big fan of cakes, and once I get a bit of spare time, I might actually learn how to bake a cake. So you could add on some kind of future intention. What types of cakes do people in your country like? You could say whatever you like here. You can have more than one too. If you could have a sentence about banana cakes, and then you could add on ice cream cakes as well. Quite like ice cream cakes. Banana ice cream cake. That's got me thinking. Celebrities. This comes up a lot, right? Celebrity news. So this is news stories about celebrities. I'm suddenly thinking of paparazzis and things. Hey, I should be doing the topics first. That's why. So yeah, celebrity news, and now I could, oh yeah, there is paparazzi. That word is down here further. So, I mean, sometimes topics will just spark some sort of words to enter your brain, and that's a useful thing. So, celebrity news, some useful paraphrases, a gossip, or a gossip about the famous if you want, but you could just say gossip. Gossip is when people are talking about things, and it may or may not be true. It's not necessarily factual information. It's passed on from one person to another. And it's not always true. We have a phrase, Chinese whispers, and Chinese whispers is like to play it as a game. You get in a circle and one person says something, and you see it goes around all the different people and gets back to the original person, and you want to see how similar is the message that comes back to the original. So Chinese whispers is kind of the idea that of gossip, that when information gets passed on from person to person, sometimes it changes a bit. Star-studded stories. So star-studded is kind of like when there's lots of famous people, like a star-studded movie means lots of famous actors and actresses in it. A-lister. A-listers are the top people in society, the celebrities, so A-lister updates. I added this one on, influencer updates, because now a lot of the people that you see on YouTube are becoming celebrities, right? They're influencers. They influence your decisions or your knowledge about things. So influencer updates. Idiomatic expressions, rubbing shoulders with. So if you're rubbing shoulders with famous people, that just means you're in contact with them, you're associating with them. 15 minutes of fame. This could be a YouTube influencer or something, somebody who's well known but not for too long. Maybe they made a funny video where, I don't know, it could be anything. A monkey hugs a dog, and so that's really, I've seen one like that recently. Maybe it's popular, but not for a long time, doesn't have any staying power. It's kind of like musicians. Sometimes we call them one-hit wonders. That means they have one famous song and then that's it. Maybe they have an album. Maybe they have 100 songs, but no one cares about those other 99. They're a one-hit wonder. Some useful vocabulary. Notorious. Notorious is like for people who are well known, but for sort of negative reasons. So we can see a lot of the celebrities are involved with negative things such as alcohol and drugs and those sort of things. So then we might say they're notorious for gambling, maybe. Paparazzi, that's the people that follow the famous people around with cameras and try and catch them doing naughty things and that sort of thing. Sensationalism is about making something sensational or bigger than it really is. So sometimes they make a big deal about something, maybe, I don't know, maybe like Barack Obama is eating a McDonald's burger and, oh, wow, this is really amazing. He likes it. This is incredible. Barack Obama eating a McDonald's burger, and it kind of gets blown out of proportion. Public persona means kind of like a public figure, and sometimes somebody's public persona might be different to how they are in real life. For example, if you saw the comedy show Friends, you've got Chandler Bing in it, and he's always kind of making jokes and happy, but in his real life, he wasn't so happy. A lot of issues with drugs and those sort of things. He was saying something about how difficult it is to be popular, to be funny all the time, to meet people's expectations, and how that put him under a lot of pressure. Kind of a shame in a way, isn't it? And then on to our questions. Let's see what we've got here. So, who is your favourite celebrity? So, don't overthink these questions. Don't spend too much time or mental effort thinking who it really is. Just say anybody. Like, I could just say, oh, Chandler Bing, because every time I watch Friends, he makes me laugh. But, I mean, it's not Chandler Bing. What's his real name again? It escapes me at the moment. But anyway, I mean, I like him, but I wouldn't say he's my favourite celebrity. I don't know who that is, really. And if you're not sure, you can even just say that. Gosh, that's a tricky question. You know what? I don't really have a favourite celebrity. What kind of famous people do you often see in the news? And there's a lot of these what kind of. So you can just name the person, but what kind of, really, you could start with what kind it is, like comedians. And then I can go to, I wish I could remember his name. I'll just have to say Chandler Bing. And Robin Williams is another similar case. We often see them in the news. But, I mean, also some other ones like, who's funny? I can't think of too many right now. What's that guy's name? The Man on the Moon guy. I can't think of names of people. I can think of their, like, who they are in the movies and stuff. I just can't think of their real names. And like I'm doing now, actually you can do that in your test. You can just think out loud. So sometimes people are telling me, I can't think of the answer to the question, what should I do? Well, you could just think out loud like I am and just say, oh gosh, there's lots of people, I just can't seem to think who they are right now, or whatever. Do you pay a lot of attention to famous people in the news? And so you could just have a yes or a no answer, but then maybe explain it. Like, no, not really. I'm not really that interested in those kinds of people and what they're doing and all that sort of gossip. Or maybe you do pay a lot of attention. Oh yeah, I think it's so amazing to see these people and what they're like in real life and all the naughty things they get up to. Would you like to be a famous person? This is one that sometimes sort of shocks people in the test. This has been in the test before, and sometimes it sort of shocks people. I don't know if I would like to be famous or not. Well, it doesn't really matter. Just say yes or no, and then give some sort of reason, or if you want some sort of balanced thing, sort of, well, I'm not really sure. On the one hand, it'd be kind of great because you normally make a lot of money, but on the other hand, you lose your privacy and you've got paparazzi chasing you around everywhere. So you can go in two directions sometimes. Sometimes I use the word depends. Well, I think it depends, right? Colours. This can be a more difficult topic than it might seem on the surface. We've got some paraphrases, hues, shades, tints. I was wondering what these words even mean, so I kind of looked them up, and it doesn't really matter. I think you can just kind of use them interchangeably. But if you really want to know, I'll sort of show you on the screen. You could pause the video, but basically hues are basic colours that we don't add black to them, and then shades are a colour that's created by adding black to one of the basic colours. I guess the basic colours are those. It depends if you're using a computer monitor, they're different, but something like red. I can't even think what they are, but I think there's like 3 or something. But anyway, so we've got the hues. Those are the colours without adding black. We've got shades, which we add black to them to change the color. And then we've got tints, where we add white to the hue and not black. It's the opposite of the shades. So now that we've got the difference between hues, which are those primary, tertiary and secondary colors, and then the shades, which we add black to the hues, and the tints that we make by adding white to the hues, we can move on. We've got some idiomatic expressions. These are using the idea of color. True colors. If someone shows their true colors, they show their real personality. Pretty scary, right? Out of the blue, something that happens unexpectedly. Actually, there's loads and loads of paraphrases involving colors. I mean, something that you could actually use on this topic, to have an eye for might be good. He has an eye for colors, like some people do. They just know how to match two colors together. For instance, whoever designed this shirt, genius, the way they've mixed the black and the red together. They've got an eye for color, I believe. Or another one, and similar, an eye for detail, means that somebody notices the smallest of small things. And sometimes this comes up with colors, right? High-level vocabulary. I think we've done sort of enough. Chromatic. I don't know what most of these words are. Well, I mean, I sort of do, but not well enough really to explain them well. If you're into photography, there's a whole lot of words that come to do with that. Like, okay, chromatic, I can't really remember, but chroma's to do with color. The palette is like if you're painting or whatever, it's the range of colors you have available. Iridescent, I think that's to do with lighting. Saturation is the amount of color that comes through. So if it's highly saturated, let's say we have red and it's highly saturated, it'll be like a whole lot of red in it. Crimson, yeah. So these last two words could be useful. Crimson is sort of this reddy purple color, that's crimson, and turquoise is sort of blue-green, this one sort of up the top. So one of the things you can do to prepare for this topic is think of some less common colors such as crimson and turquoise, and then you can modify your colors. You can have light blue, dark blue, navy blue. So modifying things is a good idea. It's a way to show talent with vocabulary. And then on to our questions. What is your favorite color? So this favorite thing comes up a lot. You can use words to respond to this sort of, what is your favorite? Like, I'm a big fan of, I'm keen on. It's essentially a liking question. What is your favorite color is a bit like, what color do you like most? So being able to paraphrase like is really important. And I do have a video on common question words and vocabulary that you can use to respond to them. And I'm putting the link in the description below. Are there any colors? It should be colors with an S on the end. Are there any colors you dislike? And then that's the opposite of a liking question. We can have, ooh, it doesn't like British spelling. Let's make it American. Oh, well, isn't this weird? At once, now we're getting to the British. Or not. It's not satisfied with either British or American. You can't please everybody. I'm going to go with the British spelling with the U. So yeah, colors you don't like, or questions about what you don't like, opposite of like, can't stand, not my cup of tea. You can can't tolerate. You can have some language for things you don't like. What color do your friends like most? What color? That have to be colors, or what color? Let's make it plural. What colors do your friends like most? Yeah, this is a weird question. This one sort of puzzles people too, because most people can talk about what they like, but I mean, what are your friends like? I don't know. I mean, personally, I don't know what colours my friends like. It's not something I ask them. It's not like, hey, what's your favourite colour? But I don't know. What's a way you can answer this? You could say, well, I'm not really sure, but I noticed my friend Bob seems to like turquoise. He's always wearing these like turquoise shirts. The last one, what colour car would you buy? So this could be difficult because maybe you've never thought about buying a car, but don't think of it that way. Just think sort of hypothetically, what colour would you buy? And then some sort of reason. Like for me, I wouldn't buy a black car because I live in a hot climate and I would think that a black car would get hot and I would hate to get into it after going shopping for an hour at the supermarket. And you could use your liking language. Well, I'm really keen on turquoise, so you know what? I think I would buy a turquoise coloured car. And that would stand out, and that would be easy to find when I finish my shopping in the supermarket and I need to find my car. Because you know what happens? You always park the car in a hurry because you're keen to go shopping, and then you forget where you parked it. Well, I do that. I just presume other people do it as well, but maybe not. Not sure. Collecting things. Yeah, this has been in the test before. It's a somewhat tricky sort of topic for people. A lot of people don't really like talking about this topic. And I think these days a lot of people don't really collect things. Like my father used to collect stamps and coins and all sorts of things. Not really that interested in that sort of thing. Maybe collecting movies on my hard drive, but not really. I usually watch them and delete them. So some paraphrases, amassing items. So mass is like large scale, so amassing something is about getting a whole lot of them. If you are into coins, you could amass a whole lot of coins from different countries. Hoarding is sort of a little bit negative. It's like storing stuff in case maybe one day you need it. So we have these people called hoarders, and hoarders are afraid to throw anything out. They think anything of value should be kept. I'm not a big fan of it because, you know, when you move, you've got to move all that stuff. And also when you want to find something, you can't find the wheat amongst the chaff. It's like expression, the wheat's the good stuff and the chaff is the bad stuff. So you can't find the good things amongst the not so good things. Idiomatic expressions, to have a magpie's eye. So a magpie is a type of bird, and they're kind of known for, you know, if you like took off your watch and you were having a picnic, so you took it off for some reason, I don't know, you wanted to go swimming and you took off your watch. Apparently magpies like to take things, steal them. I don't think it's stealing. There's no, well, maybe it is stealing. But especially sort of bright, shiny, attractive things. Gather dust. If something gathers dust, that's sort of like something that it's not useful, it's not being used, it's just gathering dust. It just means something's sitting there and not being used. Like maybe, oh yeah, I've got my digital camera, Sony. I was going to make the video today using this camera, but it just overheats after about 5 minutes. So it's great for taking photos, but I never have it with me when I want to take a photo. I only have my phone. And when I make these videos, I've just found it overheats, so it's useless, which is a shame because the image that comes out of that camera is way superior to the webcam that I'm using. So gather dust. High-level vocabulary. This word, I didn't... Yeah, these are like old words, like, I don't know how to say it. If you're going to use it, you better figure out how to pronounce it, but it's something like... I'm looking at this first one. Philately. I'm going to go with philately, but I'm not sure. You better check it. If you're going to use it, That first one, why can't I click on it? I'll click on it so you can... Philately, I've seen it, but I've never heard this word spoken. I've only seen it, and it's to do with like collecting stamps and envelopes and other items like from a post office. And then this second one, I've never even seen it before. I had to look this one up. Numismatics. Like numeral. Numismatics, I guess. That's to do with coin collecting, and memorabilia is about, like if you're interested in the British Empire, then you might collect memorabilia to do with the British Empire, maybe soldiers' uniforms or something like that. And the last one, a curator. Curator is like usually somebody in a museum or something that is responsible for the all the exhibits or something like that. And then on to our questions. Do you collect anything? So, I mean, this is a sort of question might throw you off in the test. You might just sit there thinking, I can't think of anything I collect. Maybe there is something. If that happens, do the just thinking out loud strategy. Just like, oh gosh, I'm not really sure. Let me see. You know what? I can't really think of anything that I collect, except for perhaps movies on the hard drive of my computer. Remember, you just need to speak for 2-3 sentences. So even saying that you don't collect anything is of value. What you don't want to do is sit there in silence and frustration. Frustration especially. Don't let a question you find tricky put you off. I've seen it happen in tests. People literally go to pieces. They can't think of the answer to one question, and then the test moves on, but they're still stuck on that last question. And why the hell can't I think of anything to say? And then they get emotional, and then sometimes the emotion starts to shut down the brain. It can be a bad thing. It's why talented students sometimes don't get the score they need in the test. Don't worry if you do badly on one question. Are there any things you've kept from childhood? For me personally, no, nothing really. Photos. Yeah, I've got a couple of photos, black and whites and colour. And other than that, there's really nothing. Is there any item you would like to collect in the future? I would have to say no to this question. There's nothing that I can think of at the moment that I would like to collect. What are popular items for people to collect in your country? So now you can sort of think about maybe people of your parents' generation. They're more likely to collect things, although the young people do collect certain things like, I don't know, Pikachu toys or something, but I think even that's not so popular now, right? So in some ways, this is a difficult topic just because I don't think it's something that is so popular anymore. But it maybe you have to go to digital collections. I mean, at least you keep some photos on your phone or something, don't you? Crowded places. We can call these congested areas, densely populated spots. We've got some great idiomatic expressions. Packed like sardines. Sardines are those fish, and if you've ever been snorkeling certain places, I've come across them. You get these like swarms of sardines. They're incredible, really. I saw this in the Philippines, in an area I can't pronounce well. I think it's called Moalboal or something like that. Anyway, amazing. So packed like, well, we also have tins of sardines, right, and they're packed in. So actually it probably comes from the tins of sardines and not me snorkeling. But yeah, we might get on like a bus and say it was that we were packed like sardines in the bus. So it means it's very crowded. Elbow room, having some elbow room is good. That means you've got a bit of room to move in. If you're packed like sardines, you won't have any elbow room. High level vocabulary. If someone's crowding, we've got bustling or hustle and bustle. Hustle and bustle, especially like it's crowded and also there's movement, right? Hustle and bustle, that's good. If you're a Chinese speaker, I remember somebody asking me how to say 热闹 in English, and so 热闹is like hot and noisy, I guess. And when you go to night markets, they can be 热闹. 热闹 is something positive, right? So it's easy to come up with something negative when translating this, something like crowded. Oh, that sounds crowded. That sounds fabulous. But I mean, hustle and bustle is kind of sort of positive in a way. You know, you go somewhere and there's a lot of hustle and bustle. It means it's going to be kind of exciting and stimulating to be there. Overpopulated, so just too many people. Many of the cities are just overpopulated, and as a consequence, we're being packed like sardines into apartment buildings and public transportation. Claustrophobic. Claustrophobic's a feeling of being kind of trapped and boxed in and not being able to move, and that could happen on something like a bus. You could feel claustrophobic, right? Swarm, especially like bees or something, when there's a whole lot of people swarm. But we could sort of use it somewhat idiomatically to talk about people. We might say, I got out of the bus and there was a swarm of people coming towards me. Or back to the celebrities, when people see a celebrity, they often swarm around them. And our questions, do you like crowded places? No, because, or yes, because, or it depends. If I'm tired, I really hate it because I just want to get home and relax. Whereas if it's the weekend and I've got plenty of energy, I just love going to night markets and being packed like sardines there. What places do you think are often crowded? Night markets, public transport, cities. When was the last time you were in a crowded place? You just make that up. You don't need, like, this sort of when was the last time. Don't spend too much mental energy thinking, was it last week, or maybe it was more than a week. Don't worry about these internal conversations, unless, of course, you've got nothing to say. If you just don't know how to answer the question, then strategy, think out loud. Oh gosh, that's a tricky question. I think it was last week. Oh no, hold on, it must be longer than that. I'd say it was probably about a month ago when I went to Tokyo on business. Do you prefer to live in a crowded place or a peaceful place? So it's going to depend on the person, right? And if you like crowded places, maybe you like the hustle and bustle. If you like a peaceful place, maybe you like a tranquil atmosphere. So one of the things I encourage you to do is like always have sort of opposite pairs. So hustle and bustle, busy, crowded, maybe exciting, and tranquil atmosphere, peaceful, quiet, calm. These are useful. They're useful in part 2 as well when we've got lots of questions about places. And even the do you prefer part, it's like do you like. So I really can't stand crowded places. I hate being packed in like sardines. I like a tranquil atmosphere, you know, somewhere like the ocean. Isn't that a great answer? Memory, your recollection, your recall, your ability to remember things, that's your memory, right? Trip down memory lane, that means remembering something from the past. Memory like a sieve, that means you've got a bad memory, a sieve. Maybe it's also pronounced sieve. I'm going with sieve, British English. It's a if you've got vegetables and you want to get the water out of them, you can put them in a sieve and shake it about a bit. So it's a thing with holes in it. So memory like a sieve just means you got holes in your memory. You forget things fall out. You can't remember them. High level vocabulary, cognition. Cognition is about your awareness, your brain functioning. And mnemonics. Mnemonics are good. They're ways of remembering things. So an example of a mnemonic, Colors of the rainbow, I can remember it just from the mnemonic. I knew in school. Mnemonic, notice the M's silent. So mnemonic for that is 𝐶𝐓𝐒. So 𝐶𝐓𝐒, and each letter of 𝐶𝐓𝐒 is a color. So we've got red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. So that's a mnemonic, 𝐶𝐓𝐒. They're useful. And then on to our questions. Are you good at memorizing things? How do you remember important things? I tie a piece of string around my finger. Not really. Maybe you use your phone. I use Google Calendar. What do you use? Have you ever forgotten something important? Gosh, I think everybody has, haven't they? For me, it's probably the time when I've forgotten what I was going to say. What do you need to remember in your daily life? So it's just like, what are some everyday things you need to remember? Like maybe setting an alarm, sleeping early. Maybe you have a bad habit of staying up late, so you've got to constantly remind yourself, remember that you're supposed to sleep early. Money, everybody likes this, right? So we've got currency, so the sort of dollars, like American dollars, that's a currency. Renminbi, that's a currency. Vietnamese dong, that's a currency. Finances, when we talk about our finances, we're talking about our money. If our finances are in good shape, that means we have money. If our finances are in bad shape, that means we don't have a lot. Maybe we don't have enough money. And capital means money when we're talking about businesses. So businesses need capital to make investments, to purchase things. And if they don't have any capital, then it can lead to problems and maybe even bankruptcy. Idiomatic expressions, money talks. So we often say something like, just like money talks. So money can influence people. Money talks, bullshit walks. That's a saying. So that sort of means if people have got money and they're like, if someone starts giving you money, okay, yeah, I'll do it. And if they talk up how much money they're going to give you and then nothing is forthcoming, then you might think, well, you know what, money talks and bullshit walks, which means I'm not going to do it if you're not going to give me the money. Break the bank, to cost a lot of money. So normally going to eat in a restaurant won't break the bank. Buying a new electric vehicle might break the bank. It could. They're expensive. If you want a new Tesla, it's going to cost you a lot of money. It might break the bank. Break the bank, sort of like using up all of your money. There's another one too, arm and a leg. It costs an arm and a leg. And by the way, like, get some of my ideas, but really what you want to be doing is thinking about what words do you know for the topic of money, right? Some more vocabulary. Solvency. So with business, if it's solvent, it has money. If it's insolvent, it doesn't have money. And insolvency is the first step to bankruptcy. Fiscals, to do with money, like especially spending. So the government has a fiscal budget that's like the money they're going to spend or earn. Pecuniary, like a pecuniary advantage, that's like a financial advantage or a money advantage. When you go and work for a company, you get a pecuniary advantage of working there. If you go and work for charity, then you don't. If someone's affluent, that means they have a lot of money. And I added in crypto, but I did a misspelling. I wanted to put in cryptocurrency. And there's sort of a debate at the moment whether cryptocurrency is money or not. Is it money in terms of being able to buy things, or is it just like an asset, more like gold, like a storage of value rather than a form of currency, a form of transacting, a way to buy and sell things? Questions? How important is money to you? I think it's important to most people, but for me in particular, I would have to say that it is paramount, because without money, you can't do anything. Paramount means like important. Are you good at saving money? There's an idiomatic expression to do with this, isn't there? Can't think what it is. Never mind, move on. Do you want to be rich in the future? Yes. Do you think money is essential for happiness? I think a certain level of money is essential. I don't think you have to have a lot of money, but I think you need enough money that your basic needs are met. It's pretty hard to be happy if you're hungry. But that's what I think. Maybe you think something different. Singing. I would hate this topic. Not so much that I hate singing. It's just I'm not really into it, and I'm not into karaoke and those sort of things. But for some people, this topic might be a gift. They might be good at it. Paraphrases, vocalizing. So that's just like using your vocal cords. Like you could have something written, and if you vocalize it, you speak it out. Performing songs. So performing songs is sort of general. That could be singing, or it could be playing the guitar. Is that how you play the guitar? Drums, maybe better. I'm more of a drummer than a guitarist, I think. Idiomatic expressions, to hit the right note, to just do something exactly right. It could be music, like we have notes in music. It could be to hit the right note in music, but it's more about just doing something really well, right? So, for instance, you could cook something and someone might say, wow, this cake really hits the right note. Just means it's absolutely delicious. Change your tune is to decide to do something differently. Parents often say this, you better change your tune. Or maybe teachers when they're teaching young kids. It's kind of like often talking down to someone. It's a suggestion, but more than just a helpful suggestion. It's kind of a little bit negative, like somebody's talking down to you. They think what you're doing is not great. You better change your tune. High-level vocabulary. Some of this stuff I don't know. I'm not really that into music. Solo is when you sing on your own. That's a solo. Melodious, like sounds beautiful to the ear, a good melody. And then those last two, I don't know what they are. Falsetto, a cappella, I don't know what they are. If you're into singing, you could look them up and see what they are. They might be useful. If this is not really your topic, maybe don't bother. Do you like singing? So you could like singing even though you're not good at it. So you might say, oh yeah, I really enjoy singing in the shower. I'm a big fan of singing in the shower. However, most people can't stand my singing. Have you ever learnt how to sing? Probably most of you had some sort of lessons at school, but probably only a few of you like really had professional assistants to sing. Maybe you showed talent when you were young and maybe somebody taught you. When was the last time you sang? It'd be quite a while ago. I'm not really a big fan of singing. Do people in your country like to sing? So it depends what your country. I think most countries people like to sing. I mean, is there any country where people just don't like to sing at all? I don't want to start naming countries. I might be called a racist or something. But I can't think of too many cultures where singing is frowned upon. Social media, we had that sort of celebrities earlier. So this topic, you could possibly prepare both at the same time. There could be quite a bit of crossover between social media and the celebrities. Paraphrases, online networking, digital platforms, internet communities, idiomatic expressions, going viral. You've probably heard that, right? When some story sort of breaks and you start seeing it everywhere, it spreads quickly, is going viral. It's like a virus, right? It's a different word form to virus. If you have a virus, you have a viral infection. So I guess it's kind of like an adjective. Trending topic, something that's popular. And then our vocabulary influencer, I talked about that under the celebrities. Algorithmic curation. So that's like if you watch YouTube or you go on to do a search on Google, it lists things, right? And that's basically, it lists things based on algorithms. And the algorithms could be based on what you watch, what other people in your country watch, what's kind of trending now. So the algorithm curates a list of things to watch. That's AI, right? Sometimes people are using AI and they don't even realize. Digital footprint. Your digital footprint is, if I searched your name, what can I find online? So that's your digital footprint. They talk about carbon footprints too. That's like how much carbon are you producing? And your digital footprint is like, what are you producing online? If I search for you, what can I find? Sunglasses. Whoa, this could be a really tough topic. I mean, if you don't wear sunglasses, getting asked questions about sunglasses could be tricky, and you might end up with a whole lot of no answers. So first of all, paraphrases, shades, sunnies, especially in Australia, we like to call them sunnies, keep out the sun. And then a couple of idioms, to see the world through rose-tinted glasses. That's to see things in a positive way. I don't know you're going to use that with this exact topic. I think there's an idiom that involves glasses, but not one I would use to describe it. Hiding behind sunglasses. So that's like when somebody doesn't want to be seen. Maybe you're, hiding from the paparazzi. The celebrities we were talking about before, they do that. Some vocabulary. Polarized. So polarized sunglasses, they get darker when you go into the light, and lighter when you go into darker areas, so they can automatically adjust. They're light sensitive. UV protection. UV is the ultraviolet rays. Really important to protect your eyes from the UV light. Tinted lenses. I think we had tints under colors, but here the meaning's a little bit different. It's like this is a dark, maybe it's got some relationship, dark tint here, or heavily tinted glasses. So tinted has got some sort of color layer. It could be black, it could be blue, it could be red. Not very common, red. But I have seen it, but it's normally sort of black or blue. Ergonomic design. So ergonomics is sort of the study of science of how machines and people work together. So an ergonomic design would be sort of like a comfortable design or something like that. When we talk about ergonomic chairs, it's like chairs that design for the human body. Maybe the angle fits the human spine, that sort of thing. So ergonomic is kind of like a practical sort of thing. You want, well, like for me, glasses always pinch the nose a bit too much. I would like an ergonomic design where it's a bit kinder to my nose. It's just me. And our question, so as I said, this could be a little bit tricky for some people, and you don't want to end up just saying no, 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 right? So you don't want to be like, do you like to wear sunglasses? No. How often do you, I think that's wrong. How often do you often? How often do you? How often do you wear sunglasses? Never. Would you go to buy sunglasses? No. Do people like to wear sunglasses in your country? I'm not sure. You don't want answers like these, right? So how could we, I'll try and do sort of a bit better sort of off the cuff. This is unprepared. Off the cuff means unprepared. Do you like to wear sunglasses? No, not really. I'm not a huge fan of sunglasses. I suppose on a really bright day, I might sometimes put on a pair, if I've got to drive my car or something like that. How often do you wear sunglasses? Well, just once in a blue moon, really. As I said, perhaps when I drive on a really bright day, I might wear one. But other than that, really not into putting on a pair of sunglasses. Where would you go to buy sunglasses? Well, I'm not a huge fan of sunglasses, but I suppose if I really had to buy a pair, I'd probably go into a local glasses shop. The reason for that is I'd like to actually try them on and see how they fit and look in a mirror and see if they suit the shape of my face. Do people like to wear sunglasses in your country? Well, I wouldn't say it's a huge thing. It's not like other countries where they're a fashion item. I think people only wear them for practical reasons in my country. Video games, that's a nice topic, isn't it? We can call them digital games, maybe computer games, gaming as a sort of field, like the gaming field. Electronic entertainment, digital entertainment would be okay. Some idiomatic expressions. On the next level. Yeah, this game is on the next level. It means it's even better than the previous ones I've been playing. You know, sometimes you get different generations of games too, just like you get generations of phones. So I used to play Age of Empires 2, and that was in 2D, and now I play Age of Empires 4, and that's in 3D. Or Warcraft, I started playing Warcraft 1, and you had guys with swords and archers, and that was it. And then we went on to Warcraft 2, and we had some ballasts, which could sort of a bit like artillery almost, and some maybe we had priests then, some guys who could bring guys back to life and convert people, and then we went to World of Warcraft. Then we went to Warcraft 3, and we had these like amazing heroes who could do huge things, and then it kind of went into World of Warcraft, and I lost interest at that point, and it sort of changed. Just thought you might like to know my history of gaming. Playing games, that's an idiomatic expression. Oh, yeah, there is an idiomatic expression like don't play games, which means don't joke around, don't fool around. So it's an idiomatic expression involving games, but I wouldn't really use it to describe playing games. I'd say something like maybe eye-catching is good. Eye-catching graphics. Ooh, that would be nice. Some vocabulary, interactive media. So interactive, we're interacting with the game. Sometimes I think games are like movies, but you're in the movie or you're controlling the actors. Immersive experience is the feeling like when you're immersed in it, you don't know what's happening out here, you're just focused on the game. That's an immersive experience. Augmented reality, that's something like the Nintendo Wii, where you might hold a controller and it will assist you to play the game. Virtual environment, sort of about the same, but especially maybe we put on some glasses and now everything we see is a virtual environment, and maybe we're in it, maybe we've got our hands and we can do things with our hands in this virtual environment. And then vocabulary. If you're a gamer, you probably know some of this. I've come across, like, I've had to look all of these I looked up. All of these I had to look up, but not to make this video. Just like when I'm watching an Age of Empire 4 video, maybe by Aussie Drongo. I watch some of his videos, they're pretty good. And so I hear him say these words, and then I'm like, what is that? So I hear him talk, it's normally about the updates to the game, and something's been nerfed, like the White Castle has been nerfed. And I'm like, what on earth does nerfed mean? But I know now, because I've looked these up, and I've worked them out from context too. So when something gets, let's say we're updating a game, if something gets nerfed, it's less powerful. So if you had a sword and you could do 10 damage with it, maybe it gets nerfed and now you can only do 9 damage. if it gets buffed, it gets made better. So instead of doing 10 damage with my sword, I can do 12. It's been buffed. And then I heard this Chad, and what the heck is a Chad? So a Chad is like someone really strong and powerful, and then a Giga Chad is just kind of like the goat or some, Giga Chad's like the most sort of powerful. Imagine you're in a game with 100 people. You might have 10 Chads, you might have 10 really powerful players that maybe you need to stick away from because they're going to kill you. And then a Giga Chad is like the best of them all. It'd be like the alpha male, the alpha female, the best person in the game is your Giga Chad. And then we come on to our questions. Do you play video games? So for some of you, this will be a no, but is it really a no? Like, don't you play any kinds of games? Like maybe you play simple games on your phone that could still be a game. But maybe for some of you, you don't. And in that case, you could just not only say you don't play games, but maybe why that you don't play games. Maybe you find it a waste of time. Maybe you're too busy. Maybe you just think it's a bad idea to play games. You should be able to say something more than just no. How often did you play video games when you were a child? That answer could be a bit different, or it could be the same. And again, if you didn't play games, you could tell the examiner what you did instead. No, I wasn't into video games. I was a big fan of collecting stamps, and I spent all my weekends cutting stamps off envelopes and sticking them into an album. Not true. Can video games be educational? Yeah, I think that they can, but I would say more often than not, they're designed to be entertaining, a blast, a lot of fun, and any sort of education is secondary. Although Age of Empires, you learn a lot. You learn a lot about medieval weaponry and that sort of thing. I've come to gain quite an appreciation of the weaponry that were available at that time. What types of video games are popular in your country? So again, it's types, so you don't need to jump straight to naming the game. You could zoom out a bit and sort of talk about the genre, the category, and then get into the specific types. So like for me, like Age of Empire 4, that's RTS, real-time strategy. I'd have to say real-time strategy are really popular in my country, especially games like Age of Empire 4, and that's because I think people like to not only play a game for excitement, but they also like to stimulate their brain, and real-time strategy is the best way to do this. So I hope you've found the video useful. I haven't been making many videos lately. I've been playing Age of Empires 4 instead, but I am going to try and devote some more time to making videos. The next video I'll make is the part 2 questions, and then I'm planning to go on to writing videos. One thing I really want to do is make some videos showing how I give feedback, because I think people could learn a lot from the feedback that I give on the writing correction that I do. Anyway, have a look in the comments of this video, because I will leave some links to some other useful videos that I've mentioned during this, and just some other ones that I think would help you in the speaking test. If there's a question you got in your test that's not included in this video, welcome to type it into the comments below, and I'll have a look at it and I'll give you my ideas, and I'd just be interested to know any questions that I've kind of missed. That would be great. If you don't mind, make sure you're subscribed, give the video a like, and as I said, the next video I make will be on part 2 speaking. Watch out for that. I'm going to be releasing that very soon.